Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me here today. If you want to follow along, we will be in the 28th chapter of the book of Acts. We're going to be looking at just one verse this morning, verse 2. And before we get into it, just wanted to invite you, if you would, to put in the comments. We're nearing the end of the book of Acts, and if there's a topic or a particular book or something like that you'd like to maybe look at when we finish up in the book of Acts, I'd love to have your input, your opinion, and if you got maybe a Bible question you've had for a long time, you want to see if we can come up with an answer to that, anything like that, please feel free to put that in the comments below the post here. And then now join me in Acts chapter 28. Again, they have run the ship ashore. The ship has cracked up and they have swam or floated to shore. In verse 2, Paul says, or Luke says, his group, the native people, showed us unusual kindness, for they kindled a fire and welcomed us all because it had begun to rain and was cold. And so we have I guess you'd say, a happy ending here, as the ship does not sink completely and all the people on board dying, but instead they've made it to land, and now they are face to face with the native people of that island. The King James Version calls them barbarians. And we have a very negative view of the word barbarian. To call somebody a barbarian, I guess we would say, is even perhaps an insult, but that is not the word. The word that I read out of the ESV is a better description when it just calls them the native people. To be called a barbarian did not necessarily mean you were swinging by the vines from trees like Tarzan, or a cannibal or anything of that nature. It just simply meant that you did not follow the Greek way of life. You didn't follow Greek customs. So by that definition, a lot of very normal citizens of many countries would have been considered a barbarian. But, again, it just means you didn't follow their customs. You didn't speak Greek. And so if you were not Greek or not Roman, you were foreign, and you therefore were a barbarian. But even with that being said, you can easily see how we have a ship full of people come crashing up on your shore, how even though they may not be what we consider barbarians in the worst sense of the word, you certainly can see how they could have felt threatened by all these people coming onto their shore. They could have rejected, killed them, took them captive, any number of things. They could have looked at it as an opportunity and killed the people and taken their valuables and left these folks to die. So there was a lot of things that could have happened. Their jewelry or any money they may have had, any valuables whatsoever, could have captured them and put them into some kind of servitude. All kinds of things could have happened to Paul, his companions, and the other convicts, the sailors on the ship. They could have found themselves in a very precarious situation. But notice what God does for Paul when it says they didn't just show kindness, but they showed unusual kindness. And the Greek word that is translated there as kindness, it is the word where we get our English word philanthropy from. And so they just went above and beyond making Paul and the others comfortable, built a fire, kept them warm, took good care of them. And so, a great miracle, great protection of God that was taking place there. And so obviously they helped him as much as possible. You and I recognize that ultimately this is the hand of God taking care of the shipwrecked folks. And so they are, once again, just as they were through the shipwreck, through all the storm, they are being protected by God, and they are delivered from this, again, very dangerous situation. Certainly they could have died in the sea. They could have died, get out of the water only to find out they've got a bunch of crazy, wild, mean, cannibalistic natives surround them. But God takes care of them and brings them to a group of people who show unusual kindness. And here I'm going to take maybe a little left turn from where you may think we're going here this morning. Obviously, we could spend some time talking about the goodness and the protection of God. What I'd like for you to think about today is these native people showing unusual kindness. If the native people, the barbarians as they're described again in the King James, could show unusual kindness to Paul and the others, shouldn't the Church of Jesus Christ be known for showing unusual kindness to those that we come into contact with, regardless? Again, these Paul and his companions were obviously strangers, weren't their nationality, didn't speak their language, but still they exercised unusual kindness. My challenge for us today that just stands out to me in this passage is that the church too would be known for unusual kindness. There are a lot of kind people in this world, a lot of kind organizations in this world, do a lot of good work. Red Cross and others do a lot of really good work and help others. But the Church of Jesus Christ, those who follow Him, who call themselves disciples of Christ, our kindness should be above and beyond. It should be a unusual kindness that stands out to the world and ultimately gives a testimony to the world. I'm sure that all of you, like myself, have been in stores, in lines at restaurants, seen servers coming to the table where the person talking to them didn't exercise any kindness, much less unusual kindness. Let the church not be known for that. I've heard servers in restaurants talk about how bad sometimes their customers are on Sunday at lunchtime as people are coming from church, how hard sometimes those folks can be, how rude they can be, how poor of tipper they can be. And it strikes them. I've heard a number of people who would be in towns where Christians, for example, the Southern Baptist Convention in North Carolina and other conventions, when they would meet, and the people would go out into the restaurants of asking they would go out and they would ask the servers in the various restaurants, how were they? Did they tip well? Did they treat you well? And sometimes the answers are not very pleasing. And so today, as just a small step, just a mild thing we can do to be testimony, a witness for Jesus Christ, is to show unusual kindness even to the strangers that happen to land on our island. You have a good day. We'll see you here tomorrow morning.